The Cook Islands has a very large exclusive economic zone.
I think almost no human can get their head around the scale, the true scale. We use analogies. So the analogy that was often quoted on the vessel is, it's like you're driving through a vast forest at night, but you've got a small penlight flashlight, and all you can see is that little flashlight, but all around you is this forest, right? But it's even bigger than that. I mean, the E.E.Z of the Cook Islands it's not the largest in the world, I think that's the United States, but it is a very large one at just under 2 million square kilometres.
Despite the fact that we exhausted ourselves going as fast and as far as we could, we saw a tiny fraction of 1% of their E.E.Z.
The nodule field alone, I think at the speed at which we were going, was, if I think I've got my calcs correct, I think it was a month and a half to cross in one direction and 3 months in the other direction at that particular speed.
In the Cook Islands exclusive economic zone, only a few expeditions have explored the seafloor, done ocean exploration or scientific investigations.
And it's kind of a microcosm of the larger ocean.
In the Cooks, what's really important is a concept of marine spatial planning. And the idea is by having marine spatial planning, you look after all of the different habitat types in the Cook Islands. The exclusive economic zone of the Cook Islands is also the limits of what we call Marae Moana, or Sacred Ocean. And that's a multi-use park that the government has put in place to manage the seabed as well as possible.
Our ancestors, our forefathers, really only had to protect and put rāui conservation zones, around their islands, in their lagoons. But obviously, these days, it started with industrial fishing coming into the Pacific, 50, 60 years ago. Now potentially seabed minerals activity, and so the government had foresight and said, let's start a management plan now, even though it's on a massive scale, and we probably didn't have the data at the time to make the informed decisions.
Under Marae Moana, you've either got to protect or conserve different parts of the seabed. So the protected areas will never be subject to minerals extraction or commercial fishing, but between those protected areas and the limits of Marae Moana, there's a possibility that one day something like minerals extraction could take place. But even if that takes place, there's still an obligation to conserve it. So we can only do that if we understand where it is, right? So this was by no means the complete answer. This is like the first step. And this is not something that any single person can do. This is where all stakeholders need to come in together. This is where collaborations like the one we've done with these US agencies are so important. And hopefully we'll build our knowledge base so we can make the right decision in the future.
The ocean covers 2/3 of the planet. Maybe 35% of it has been mapped. Much less than 1% has been seen with human eyes. It is not only 2/3 of the surface of the Earth, it's 99% of the habitable volume of this planet when you count all the ocean above it.
Governments, obviously looking at areas, very sensitive, and that's why data and collection by the likes of NOAA and private companies are essential to the Cooks.
The Seabed Minerals Authority, in conjunction with National Environment Service, have put together a thing called an ecosystem-based management framework. So it's a framework of all the things that are required to manage our Marae Moana from the point of view of seabed minerals in a sustainable manner. And so there is a structure, there is a framework, and a lot of the studies within that framework, certainly the ones on the government side, have been completed, at least the first generation of those. The work we did just now with EV Nautilus fits inside that framework. So there's two key places it fits. On one side, we have within the framework a space for marine scientific research. Now, marine scientific research happens all around the world. It's an activity that is mandated or protected under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, and by that, it's also protected and allowed for within the Cook Islands. The second part is in terms of baseline environmental data. You need to understand something in order to protect it. Otherwise, you're just guessing, right? So in terms of building up our baseline environmental information, we've taken another step forward, a very significant step forward in that.
So if we imagine our exclusive economic zone was the size of a rugby field, then the area we are looking at to potentially extract nodules is actually the size of the scrum. That would be the size over a 30-year period that we would be looking at extracting our minerals with our licence holders. So on a size and scale, it's very, very small. Doesn't mean it's not important, and that's why we'll keep conducting our research to understand the impacts of what we're doing. But on the size and scale of our EEZ and what we're looking at doing is very, very small.
Ocean management at scale, I don't think has ever been done before. The Cook Islands has an opportunity to do that. And that's primarily because we've been blessed with these minerals.
We know who we are as Cook Islanders. We know we're in this office, in part of this government, to work for solutions or for outcomes that benefit all Cook Islanders. That's what drives us and that's what keeps us going. And we don't hide away from the criticism. We embrace it because that's how we get held accountable.
We're Cook Islanders as well, and our marae moana is important to all of us Cook Islanders. And so I think the approach that we are taking, I guess just to see that we're also seeking out that knowledge so that we can also protect our marae moana, but also if we have opportunities to develop, at least we're doing it the right way.